Greetings, good morning, hello, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The rain is pouring and the magpie is casting. Coming to you guys right now with a live 1 vs 1 battle fresh from the ladder. Featuring a spawning in the south, it's going to be the United Kingdom forces of RoyalHants. And spawning in the north, it's going to be the Overcommand West forces of selvatica. The map today is going to be Falmunville Approach, which kind of looks like this. I'm going to pan around and then proceed to talk about other things. So, as I'm sure many of you will know, December the 3rd has come and gone, and that was the day. That was the day of the new way to play the game. Kind of a little bit of rhyming tactics, lyrical gymnastics, vocal slapsticks. What am I talking about? Anyway, yes, that's right, December the 3rd has come and gone, which means that there has been a new patch, and this one has been a big one, let me tell you. Pretty much, I made a video earlier discussing some of the proposed changes that were coming up, and I was rather scathing. I didn't approve of many of the changes to Overcommand West. I was worried that my precious Kubelwagen was going to get all switched up, and other things too. However, the new patch has arrived, and yesterday was Saturday the 4th, Saturday the 5th, and I played a lot of games, went out onto the ladder, played a lot of games, used Overcommand, used the new commander, Overwatch Doctrine, more on that later, but let's just say that I have a much better feeling for how these changes now make the game feel and make Overwatch feel. Of course, let's not forget, there have been a lot of changes to the other nations as well. All nations have had a number of changes, and a lot of heavy changes to the commanders for many nations as well. So a lot has changed. You could almost say it's a new game now. And indeed, many of the maps have changed, as I've just noticed. Of course, the big house here, which used to be very dominant, is gone. I've noticed changes on other maps as well. So as this battle unfolds, I will attempt to frame the action as best I can and discuss and cast the key moments as I can. But I will focus the commentary more on discussing the changes to Overcommand West and indeed the British forces as they unfold in front of us and as those changes are demonstrated. Now, I do hold in front of me the 10-page changes document. But I won't read through it and just discuss it point by point. That would be very boring, and I kind of did that in an earlier video anyway. So what I'll do is use that for reference and attempt to discuss the changes as and when I see them having an effect in the battle. So anyway, Storm Pioneers, these guys are now 20 manpower cheaper. They only cost 300, so it seems that selvatica is going to try to take advantage of that by going for two Storm Pioneer squads in the early game. Not often seen, so that's pretty cool. Volks Grenadiers, these guys, they're KAR-98K rifles. They now deal 12 damage, not 10, so that's quite the buff. And I have to say, I've noticed this in my games. It makes them far more effective at trading with Tommies rather than just sitting there absorbing damage and kind of being a sort of meat shield against Tommies, which used to be their role. So yes, they will actually now poke back against British forces just a little bit, especially if you've got 2 or more squads. Their cost has increased, though, from 235 to 250 manpower, so not scot-free. Of course, massive change for the Overcommand in general. They now have 100%, that is regular, fuel income and munitions income. So obviously that's changed the faction completely. Many of their buildings now produce different units, and where the units live in the tech tree has moved around considerably. Also, even just the way they build their trucks. I mean, you know how to build the trucks. You don't get a free truck every 3 minutes. You can build the trucks as and when you see fit for the price of 100 manpower and 15 fuel. So fair to say that Overcommand now pretty much a new faction. Everything you knew about Overcommand has changed considerably. So anyway, we'll have to see how that unfolds. Look at this. We've got a Kubelwagen capturing a point. What madness is this? That's right, yes, Kubelwagens can now capture points, as we see here. They capture points at a slightly boosted rate. They don't cost fuel, and they now cost 210 manpower. They do not suppress. They do not have an arc. They do not have a setup time. They are not an MG at all. They're just a regular unit that can capture points. They also have slightly more armor, so are slightly more durable in a fight. And I have to say, the Kubelwagen was, I hold my hand up and say, I was a Kubelwagen abuser. I couldn't get through the day without building a few Kubelwagens, suppressing the hell out of infantry, kiting back, and generally being annoying. And I mean, you know, sometimes I'd have a Kubelwagen up to 4 or 5 stars even before breakfast, you know, and I had to do it, or else I couldn't get through the day. So I hold my hand up. I was addicted to Kubelwagens. However, and that made me very worried when they were going to change it. I thought the Nubelwagen would be rubbish, but I have to say I really like the Nubelwagen. It actually does damage in combat now rather than just suppressing, which means that it can actually take care of squads by itself, or especially if you have 2 of them, it can take care of infantry squads really nicely. And it's a really nice unit for securing up your backfield. You can send it back to deal with an annoying squad of infantry that's capturing your points in the backfield, and it'll harass them, it'll shoot them down, and when they're forced to retreat, it can then capture back the points that they were working on. So this This is a really nice new thing for Overcommand to have. In the early game, they only cost 210 manpower, so you can spit out a couple of them if you really like. If you're a Nubelwagen abuser, which I'm becoming, yeah, you can spit out a couple of them and capture the map very quickly, take fights very quickly, withdraw when your opponent presents themselves, get a little bit Sun Tzu, strike where your opponent expects it least, strike where they're weakest, all that kind of thing. So I have to say, I like the Nubelwagens, they're very good. Now, with regards to the Overcommand tech changes, you get different stuff out of different buildings now, and the Battle Gripper HQ, previously my beloved one, I was bemoaning the fact that they were taking the Jagdpanzer IV up to the Schwerpanzer HQ. I thought it would be completely redundant up there alongside the Panzer IV and the Panther, and to some extent that concern is valid. I think that you would never... I don't think you'll ever build a Panzer IV or a Jagdpanzer IV if you can afford a Panther. However, I do think that the Battle Gripper HQ is much better because it can now build the flak half-track. And with regular fuel income, that flak half-track is effectively 33% cheaper in terms of fuel. And that flak half-track is now a seriously good unit, which provides a great deal of suppression at long range, and is very usable, and is no longer a crushing blow to lose. So I have to say, I like the changes to the Battle Gripper HQ. I'm not yet convinced that the Schwerer Panzer HQ should have the Panzer IV, the Panther, and the Jagdpanzer IV in it. That, I think, is still suspect. But I'm very happy with the flak half-track being in its new home. Now, the Leichter Mechanized Company, the Mechanized Regiment HQ, that was the one which previously could build the Puma, the flak half-track, and the Werfermann. That now has the Panzer II Lukes in it instead of the flak half-track, and that I think is probably too strong. The Panzer II Lukes can arrive at very early timing, and it does, and it's a very potent tank, even though it has been nerfed. Its penetration against vehicles is lower than it was, but I still think it's too much. So we'll have to look to see what Relic will do with that unit. I'm not sure myself what the best thing to do with it is. I think it needs to arrive later than it can at the moment, so possibly a cost increase, but the trouble is it's not exactly, you know, cheap as it is, so that would make it pretty bad if you were to just increase its cost. So I don't know, it's a difficult thing to try and do, but I will say for now I think that the Panzer II, it seems, is too strong. Now I know this is very early days, and you know we have to let people figure these things out and figure out the appropriate responses and timings. However, I still think that Panzer II arrives just a little too soon. So yeah, for the British forces, now let's see, Tommies now deal less damage when they are in cover, so their sort of cover boost, if you like, has been nerfed a little, but they now do more damage out of cover. So basically, their reliance on that cover mechanic, I think Relic were hoping to, I don't know, de-emphasize that. Let's put it that way. It's a pretty unelegant way of phrasing that, but there we go. So yeah, there's also been a large increase to the cost of the Bolster Infantry Squad's research. Now, if I take a look at the British HQ here, that's this research here. That's the one which lets you get the 5-man squads. That's gone up from being 100 manpower and 25 fuel to being 150 manpower and 35 fuel. Now, this of course means that all of those very strong British openings which rely on getting the early 5-man squad upgrade, those have now been delayed, I would say by a minute or so, maybe more. On that upgrade, and that's going to reduce the potency of those types of openings, and I think that we may not see them so much anymore, and we may have to see British forces open slightly differently and then move into that upgrade at a slightly later time. But we'll have to see. British is my favourite allied faction, and I do play them a lot, but I haven't actually managed to get any games under my belt, so I still don't fully understand the impact of those changes, as these Storm Pioneers are going to make these Tommies, special weapon Tommies, fall back. Let's see, what other changes have there been for the British forces? Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, so the infantry section. Yeah, those changes. Sorry, I'm just literally flicking through this 10-page document here, which I said I wouldn't do, but. Oh, that's right, Royal Engineers. Yeah, you now have to pay 70 munitions if you want to upgrade the Royal Engineers to the Heavy Engineers. That is no longer a free upgrade provided by the Anvil Research. The Anvil Research now merely provides the option to spend 70 munitions upgrading. I'm not sure what I think of that yet. Again, like I say, I haven't played any games as the Brits yet under the new patch, so I'm really unsure about how that will affect things moving forward. So, let's take a look at this game here. It seems that Selvatica, our Overcommand West player, has opted to go for the Luftwaffe Ground Forces Doctrine. He's got some Fallschirmjägers out on the field running around causing havoc. Looks like he's got two of Storm Pioneers, 2 of Volksgrenadiers. He's got an MG34 and he's got a Raketenwerfer and a Kubelwagen. So a pretty nice balanced force there, weighing in at 47 supply right now. The British forces for RoyalHants, we've got 51 supply, and that is in 3 squads of Tommies, one of which is one of those special weapon anti-tank hunter Tommy squads with the 255 cal, the anti-tank rifle grenades, and the detection of vehicles through fog of war. He's got 2 regular Tommy squads, the 5-man squad upgrade has come down, he's got a 6-pounder, 2 squads of Royal Engineers in just a second, and a Vickers gun. So pretty decent force weighing in at 51 supply for him. Now if I crack the tack, you can see that the early game has gone pretty squarely in the favour of the Overcommand West, commanding many of the points out on the map, and yes, and definitely getting the lion's share of resources. Let's take a look at the scoreline here. 498 for the Axis forces, 314 for the British forces at the 11-minute mark. So, yeah, definitely a good opening phase of the game for Oka Selvatica here, who I might just call Selvatica. Yeah, so this is cool. So now he can build these trucks on cue. They just cost 100 manpower and 15 fuel. So when you're ready to tech up, you can go for it. So that's really cool. They've also changed the pricings on many of the Overcommand tech buildings. Whoa! This Kubelwagen, yeah! That was a misclick. That did not want to be driving on out there through a load of Tommies, some with 55 cals into a 6-pounder. That was devastatingly bad. Anyway, got a 2-star Vickers laying down immense amounts of fire with, of course, the 25% bonus range. That's going to be commanding this fight. We're going to see these Fallschirmjägers get support. They're going to have to fall back. And it seems that actually RoyalHants is rallying. He's managed to take most of the north of the map and is putting on a good amount of pressure in the center. He's got a little force going on down here to the south, and they're going to force these Volksgrenadiers to come on out of the building. Here comes an incendiary grenade, but Hans is on top of that. He's going to dodge after just taking a little bit of initial damage from the actual blast on that grenade. So looks like these Volksgrenadiers are going to have to fall back, and Selvatica is going to have to find some kind of a way of addressing this in the south, because these 2 squads are going to be able to cap ground pretty quick down here. Now, there comes the fallback from those Volksgrenadiers, falling back through their own incendiary actually, a little bit of a shame there. And it seems that the second truck is going to be the Mechanized Regiment HQ for Selvatica, so we'll have to see what the unit choices are going to be coming out of there. Remember, of course, the Panzer II Lux is now in this building, so he can build that. He can also build, of course, the Werfermann and the Puma from that building. Now, let's see. Got a Raketenwerfer here, which is probably going to be discovered. Seems like Selvatica is going to move that one out of there. We've got a squad of 55 cal boys just taking shots over this wall at the MG34, which is doing some decent work for now, but isn't very well supported. Now, here comes another blob of infantry, but I worry that this Vickers here still being in position. Okay, he's skirting around the edge of the range, but I think this Vickers is a real issue. And if I was the Overcommand player, I think that the correct choice has to be a Ligue field gun. Now, the Ligue is a unit which has undergone a number of changes in this December 3rd patch. The Ligue field gun now does not suppress, which, thank goodness, I think everyone can agree suppression on the Ligue field gun was a really bad idea. It felt rubbish to play with, it felt rubbish to play against. It didn't make any sense because artillery, mortars, they don't suppress. Nice squad wipe here coming out from the rapid fire Axis forces. So yeah, it didn't make any sense that Ligue and pack howitzers just randomly suppressed, but other indirect fire didn't. It was just silly, it felt bad. And also it made fights just a total dice roll, because if you got a good hit with an indirect fire piece that suppressed one or more of your opponent's units at a crucial moment in the battle, for example when they were capturing a victory point or advancing across the open, that completely changed like a massive phase of the game, and it was literally just a dice roll on whether that round hit or not. So thankfully the Ligue gun no longer suppresses, it now auto faces just like it used to, and it is the good old Ligue which I've known and loved and used for a very long time. So I'm very happy that that unit is back. I used it in a number of games on the ladder yesterday, and it did very well for itself, so I'm very happy with that unit right now. Yeah, so I think he should build that. However, looks like he's taking indirect fire one stage further. Selvatica here opting to go for the Werfermann, and that is going to be coming out shortly, and I imagine it will be unloading on this building, but we'll have to see about that. Now, RoyalHants has managed to take all of the resource points in the south. He's still being cut off because this point here has not been captured, so if I were him, I'd just move a squad onto this. It would be really useful. Here comes the reinforcing half-track, which is an option provided to him by the Special Weapons Regiment commander that he's now that he's chosen. So he's doling out Vickers K's, pardon me, to his squads, which is pretty cool. This MG34 is going to die if it doesn't come out soon. Selvatica needs to be aware of this and move it out, because he's getting riddled full of fire by these engineers and these 55 cals. There he comes, he's going to fall back. There's an attempted squad wipe possibly going on this guy. The Tommies could easily pick him off, but it looks like that is not going to be the case. And RoyalHants is being resurgent right now across the map. The only thing that Selvatica's got going for him are these plucky Volks up here in the north who are going to try and take that point. Now, I'm gonna choose this moment randomly to go on a little bit of a spiel about the new resource changes. Now, Overcommand West has traditionally been a faction that always floats a lot of manpower, and I was never really sure why this was, because their squads are quite expensive and they cost quite a lot to reinforce, and it's not like you use fewer squads than other teams, so I was always a little bit like, this feels weird. Now with the changes to resource income, I feel like I understand why that is. It's because you never had the fuel available to spend that manpower as fast as the other factions. Because whilst the primary resource for tanks and the heavier, more advanced units in the game is fuel, they also take up a large amount of manpower, and if you're not making those investments as frequently as the other factions, you'll have a lot of manpower spare. And I have to say, since the changes, I've noticed that I am pretty much running flat on manpower with Overcommand. I am out of manpower at pretty much all times, and that's a great feeling. It makes my decision-making have to be far more on point. It makes me have to think ahead more with my spending. It means I have to worry more about losing squads, because replacing them is harder, whereas before, as playing as Overcommand, it used to be like, oh, I lost a Vulture Energy squad, I'll just queue up another. Oh, I lost an Oversoldaten squad, I'll just queue up another. Not anymore. So that is now very interesting. They feel a lot more like Vermax, where you're pretty much gasping for manpower in the mid and late game. And that, of course, means that the Feuersturm Doctrine's manpower boosting ability, which I can't remember the name of actually, seems far more relevant. It's almost like Relic knew what they were doing with that, and that commander may actually be somewhat worthwhile. I'm not yet convinced that he's good, but I think he's definitely a lot better since these changes, let's put it that way. Actually, I realise I'm not exactly casting the battle very well here, but there are a lot of changes that I'm really excited to talk about, so I'm just kind of like, blur, just kind of talking about all the changes all at once. So I'm sorry, you're just going to have to deal with me. But yes, there is, of course, 2 new commanders added to the game. One for the American forces, which gets the Calliope Sherman rocket launcher. And there's also the Overwatch commander for the Overcommand forces, who gets the Goliath. Now, regulars to the channel may have noticed that I uploaded a video yesterday showing some of the Goliath hits I was able to get on the ladder. Safe to say I really like that doctrine. The Goliath itself I'm a little unsure about. I think right now players aren't used to it, and so it's looking very good, but I think at the higher levels of play, and I think once players are used to it, it'll almost never see use. I don't think it's actually a very good unit. But he gets the flares, which are awesome. The detection flares on points are really good. And he gets For the Fatherland, which is a really usable ability. So I have to say, overall, I really rate that commander. The Overwatch Doctrine is a very good commander. And generally I find when I play as Overcommand, I don't pick a commander until I need one. And that often means that I go the whole game without picking a commander, because I very rarely need them. Now the Overwatch Doctrine fits me very nicely, therefore, because he doesn't really change your playstyle. He just gives you a lot more line of sight around the map, and that enables you to make much better decisions. It enables you to respond to your foe and move and position your units around the map far, like just way ahead of time, and take fights much more cleanly. And those are things that I value immensely. So I have to say, the new Overwatch commander, I like him. I really like him. Also, For the Fatherland only costs 50 munitions, right? And it gives all of your infantry a speed and defense buff for 30 seconds. That's quite a long time. And for a discount 50 munitions, I gotta say, it's a great ability. I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of feels like Valorous Fight, what's it called, this one here? Valiant Assault. It feels like Valiant Assault, but discounted, and it only affects you in your territory, which seems completely fair. So anyway, yeah, really liking the new Overwatch Doctrine. Again, when I read those abilities, I was just like, right, the Goliath is going to be a total gimmick, and the other abilities sound useless. Turns out, I'll hold my hand up, I was wrong. Relic knew what they were doing actually better than I do. It's a good thing they're balancing the game, and not me. So yeah, they actually did that right. Hants, by the way, if you look at the minimap, well, hang on. Yeah, let's crack the attack. Hants, by the way, looking real good right now. Really bringing it to Selvatica. Really bringing it. So that's pretty cool. We're going to fight down here in the south as there's a unit of Fallschirmjägers trading at long range, but the Vickers Ks and the 3-star rifle squads are going to be more than enough to force them back. So anyway, yes, the new Overwatch commander, I'm a fan. I actually really rate him. Though the observation flares that he gets, so whenever your opponents move onto a point controlled by you, a flare gets shot up and you get to see all the units nearby. That's so useful. That has provided me with so much better intelligence and enabled me to take so many great fights. I have to say, it's made a really big difference. So yes, I've also played a game against the American Calliope. Good unit, man. That thing puts down a lot of rockets in a really nice pattern. I believe it shoots them in a line. So yeah, the Calliope seems really good. I don't know what else that commander does, to be honest. Actually, I should have to have a look. American forces is probably my least played faction. Not because I dislike them or anything, I just guess I never play as them. So anyway, yes, right, enough rambling about the new commanders. Let's get back to the battle here. So we've got, let's see, the scoreline right now much closer, and here comes a Cromwell added to the field. This MG34 is going to have to displace. The Cromwell's just going to blast the hell out of it. Boom! And this Rakettenwerfer, oh no, cruelly denied this building here, just blocking its line of sight. This just needs to fall back. Here comes a Werferman shot though. That's going to preemptively cause these squads to fall back, and the Werferman is going to be landing. Oh, that's kind of an awkward line. Didn't actually catch anything there, I believe. And right now, Selvatica finds himself at 41 supply under just nearly 70, under the 69 of RoyalHants. Hants fighting across the map, and Selvatica at the moment pretty much camped out with forces only in the north. Now let's take a look at the resources. Selvatica nearly has enough to get a Panzer IV, or a Jagdpanzer IV would be a really nice choice actually, because he does have his Schwerepanzer HQ, deploying all his buildings very close to the base. Wow, I would totally advise against doing this, just as a memo, if you're playing against Brits, and I suppose you know he's gone for the Special Weapons Regiment, so this is okay, but if you don't know what commander your British opponent has gone for, and if he had the Commando Regiment doctrine on his list, never deploy your buildings like this, just saying. But in this example, I'm happy to accept that Selvatica is satisfied that that is not an option, so the massive bombing run is not going to destroy all 4 of his buildings in one go. I'm happy that he's... I'm just saying, though, be cautious when playing against Brits if they've got that commander on their roster. So, seems like the reinforcing half-track, this is one of my favourite things about the special weapons dude for the British player. It's just a really cool, because this is the only way to get a mobile reinforcing unit for the British forces, and it totally changes the way they play. It makes them way more dynamic. So I'm a great fan of this unit, and on top of that, of course, it can drop loads of sweet guns for your guys. Now, it probably wants to fall this back. It's a little close to this Panzerschreck. I'm not... Whoa, it's going to come forward. Not sure about this. We've got a Vickers gun here dealing some pretty good damage. These Storm Pioneers are going to have to fall back, and things right now for Selvatica falling apart a little bit. He needs an answer for this Cromwell, which he doesn't really have. I mean, a Rakettenwerfer and a Panzerschreck is not enough, but he also needs answers for all this infantry, and he also needs some way to get to this Vickers gun, which has basically been doing him in all game. 18 kills, 3 stars of veterancy on the Vickers gun right now. Now, the Werferman's a good start, but it's not enough, and in fact, it's ready to fire. He should be using these barrages with greater frequency, so he's making more efficiency of this unit. As I take a sip on my drink. Yeah, that is interesting that he's not using now. I guess he's saving for a Panther, and he does have enough tickets that he could get a Panther and then feasibly win the game with it out and make it pay for himself. So that could be the correct choice now. 490 manpower, yeah, he has the requisite manpower, so he just needs a little more fuel. Looks like it's going to take him about 30 seconds to get that fuel, up to 175, and then he's going to be able to purchase the Panther. So we'll have to see what he's able to make happen here. But RoyalHants, a dominating display after a shaky early game, coming back nicely in this game right now. I mean, look at this force composition here, and then compare it to the Overcommand forces. You can see how the game has gone. 2 Cromwells now on the field, 1 here, the other just now making its way to the front. Tank commander upgrades, of course, present on both, and things not going well right now for Selvatica and the Overcommand forces. And, oh wow, this Cromwell, I have to say, is overextending a little bit here. There's a lot of Shreks here, and a Rakettenwerfer, and it's taking fire from the Schwerepanzer HQ, which is just going to chip a bit more damage into it. Oh, I don't know about this at all. He gets the Rakettenwerfer, in fairness, and he's going to have to get this... whoa, I don't know about this line either. He needs to come back over here. Whoa, these guys can take 2 more Shrek hits, and that will destroy this. If it takes the 2 Shrek hits, why is he bringing this... Oh my god, the rear armor is now facing... Oh, wow. Hants, buddy. I can't help but feel he just threw that Cromwell away for very little gain. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I can't see the logic for moving that one back this way. He should have just gotten it the hell out down this line here, according to me. But anyway, all is not lost. He's still a tank ahead of his opponent, and there are no units out on the flanks chewing up ground for the Axis player, so unable to really make any gains on the back of this. Whoa, the Werferman is coming out into a very risky position to take some shots here. I do not know about this. This is undoubtedly going to get found by a Cromwell and shortly destroyed. So an unusual, just a weird choice there from Selvatica. There goes the Cromwell. Sorry, there goes the Werferman. That is destroyed. This Cromwell also very low, though, so that's going to need to fall back and repair. And a very reckless phase of play, I would say, from both players here. But, you know, it's just like in chess. If you're ahead, you can always afford to trade. you know? So, and I think in this circumstance, RoyalHants is totally okay making these trades. If he could just trade unit for unit right now, he would just trade all of his forces, because then he'd still end up with like loads of stuff and resources to... Actually, I don't know about resources to replace, but anyway. Basically, trading is okay when you're ahead, usually. Yeah, I think he's probably happy trading there a Cromwell for the Werferman and things like that, because he's going to be able to replace these units so much easier. 39 fuel over the 13 of the Axis player. And yes, indeed, we see another Cromwell on the production queue right now. Now, I hope that this Cromwell, yeah, here come the Royal Engineers. They're going to start repairing this Cromwell. Do we have hammer or anvil research complete? Nope, neither has been selected yet. So no chance to see that new 70 munition upgrade being bought for the engineers. There is a healthy amount of veterancy over many of these units. 2 4-star units of Storm Pioneers, actually. That's pretty damn good. I feel like, actually, I really feel like this might be a good opportunity to buy a Kuba-Wagen, because it costs 210 manpower and it caps points very quickly, so you could just raid it out down onto this flank and start grabbing these points that I was just panning the camera over there. Anyway, here comes the next Overcommand Assault. They only have 100 points remaining, so just a little over 120 seconds worth of time at this current rate of bleed for Oca Selvatica. Pardon me. So he has just about 2 minutes left in this game now. Just a little over, in fact. And, wow. Goodness me. These Vickers Ks just create absolute mayhem against infantry, don't they? This Tommy squad here, 14 kills, 3 stars of veterancy. Wow. I mean, this is one of the reasons I love this commander, because you get to put Vickers Ks on your units, and they are super spicy. Hell, if you've got the spare munitions, you get to give Vickers Ks to your allies too, if you're playing into 2v2, which is pretty cool. I like that. Obersoldat making their way onto the field, but I feel like this is too little too late. Then they're going to have no impact against the Cromwell. The munitions are there for the upgrade, actually, so they're going to get the LMG-42. That's going to come on out. And we're going to have to see. We've got you know, Volksgrenadiers making grabs here, but you have to feel like they'd be better served just skipping this and going over here. Because as the supporting fire ability comes down in this location... Oh, here comes the next shell. Yeah, so if those Volksgrenadiers now they're going for the victory point, you have to feel when you're at 60 under 287 and you're bleeding as fast as you are, boom, another good hit from the concentrated fire operation. You have to feel like prioritizing these victory points has to be the way forward if you actually want to have a shot at winning this game. Now, one of the Cromwells is going to be deployed down south. That's going to take care of these Obersoldaten who were making up some ground down there. So that'll be a bit of a shame there for the Overcommand player, and a fine move for RoyalHants. The other Cromwell at 2 stars just pressuring the base, and I just can't see any way out of this for Oca Selvatica. I think he's just backed himself up into too small of a space. He doesn't have the resources to get the units he needs. I think, you know, buying a Rakettenwerfer a couple of minutes ago would have been okay. I mean, he's got, you know, nearly 600 manpower here, but wow, actually, you know what? He's got enough for that Panther. He never did buy that Panther, and that would be a really sweet choice, actually, because it can totally outrange and deal with these Cromwells. But that's no longer an option, of course, because he lost the Schwerpanzer HQ. Maybe he was building that and then lost it. And of course, with no Jagdpanzer 4 available from this building, that is no longer an option. So the Schwerpanzer HQ, actually a massive loss. I'm making a mental note right now to put that building in a much safer location, because if you're in the late game and you lose this Schwerpanzer HQ, you really can't spend your fuel on anything really, you know, on any tanks or anything. So, it seems that sniping the Schwerpanzer HQ a really wise move if you're playing against the Overcommand. Now, it always has been, but now it's pretty much their only source of heavy anti-tank. So even more valuable. And these Volksgrenadiers desperately trying to just get Shrek rounds in, but they're just getting mowed down at a horrendous rate. 30 tickets remain for Selvatica under the 287 for RoyalHants here. This right-hand victory point, though, is in Axis hands, so it's going to take him quite a long time to bleed out. He could even just pop this Vickers gun out and go and capture this point. And in fact, no, seems like Selvatica knows when he's beaten. He's going to choose this moment to leave the game. So fair play to him. A good game, well fought, but not enough, it seems, in the face of RoyalHants, who quite the potent British commander here, demonstrating his prowess and manoeuvring the British forces to victory, even in spite of what it is fair to say are a number of nerfs to the British forces. I would say, I mean, like the increasing cost of the 5-man squad upgrade is quite the nerf, and I've yet to play with the Tommies myself, so I don't know if they feel weaker or stronger, but I will say that having faced British forces with the new Volksgrenadiers, I certainly feel like I've got a better shot against them than I used to before the patch, when playing with Volksgrenadiers against the new Tommies. So anyway, Yeah, so that brings this battle to a conclusion. I will look to cast some more in the very near future, and I hope you all enjoyed the Goliath video which I posted earlier yesterday. Yes, for now, very excited about the new patch. This is Magpie 842, Mux signing out.